Alright, so the Can-Am Maverick R was a lot different than I was expecting on release. So I've been watching videos. Last night I had a lot of negative things to say about it. I took time today to really listen to a lot of videos and learn more about it before I just say, oh, it's awful and the suspension's stupid and you can't even run any bigger tires than 32s and all that, which I would have been completely wrong if I would have just said what I thought last night. So I did see that you can run 35s on the stock wheels, so that's good, right? So we can run 35s on it. I didn't hear anything about the differential. I guess it's just the same smart lock. The transmission I think is cool and concerning at the same time. Now, when the Pro R came out, they had a, I think they called it some sort of like, to help keep the front differential from breaking. It had some sort of like clutch pack or some sort of safety device. And I did see, you know, Jeremy from WDTO, I heard his activate many times or slip or whatever you want to call it. And he actually ended up not liking it so much, he sold that machine and went back to a Turbo S. Or no, to a Pro XP. He went back to a Pro XP. But either way, he went back to a more traditional full drive system that Polaris offered than their fancy, you know, system that's supposed to save everything. So the pros on the Maverick R for me is, you know, you can run 35s on it. So that's good. I mean, at least you can run a 35-inch tall tire, and it's coming from Dustin Jones that I've seen. I really like how they improved the engine block, and I think you're going to be seeing a lot of really high horsepower numbers out of it. It's pretty cool how it's got like a 54mm turbo on it, and they kind of breezed over it in the release video, but I'm pretty sure it has like rolling anti-lag or something, where it shuts the cylinder down and kills the timing. I mean, that's anti-lag as far as I'm concerned. I'm not in the whole racing world, but from what I do understand, that is like anti-lag, so that's from the factory. That's pretty cool. So the front suspension, I was with everyone on it. Like, it's just really dumb looking, right? But the reason they did it is to completely eliminate bump steer, which makes sense. So like, you know, if you have a this is gonna be a horrible example, but that's your center point for your ball joints, right? And your hub is out here. That's how much leverage you have on your hub. You know, when they move the ball joints and everything over the, if you imagine a line on top of that hub, it prevents like steering feedback. So if you ever were on a Can-Am form and people are saying, oh, don't put 4+3 wheels where, you know, you have 3 inches offset or 4 inches offset, that's because you get a lot of steering feedback because all the leverage you had on that hub. And that's why I run 6+1 wheels on my machine, so they only stick out 1 inch off the hub. So I have minimal offset on my X3, and I can ride through the dunes and it never rips the hands out of my wheels. The dunes, the rocks, whatever. It will not rip the wheel out of my hand. The only time I've had it rip the wheel out of my hand was like less than 3 instances in the X3, where I'd land on power and it just, I mean, that tire would grip up and pull the wheel out of my hand. But as far as razors, I've had a razor break 2 of my fingers twice. So that's a major reason why I don't have a razor, is every time I try to drive a razor like I drive my X3, I break my fingers. And I don't stick my fingers in the wheel, but it's just the wheel will spin out of my hand, it'll cut the steering off, and it will, the back of the wheel will hit my fingers, and Yeah, I've been wheeling all my life. I've never broken my fingers from any vehicle before, and except for a razor. So that's one big issue I have over razors. But back to the Maverick R. The transmission seems really cool, but it's a dual clutch transmission, and I could be completely wrong on this. So, this is just an idea. I understand how it works with two clutches, engaging the gear on gear and all that stuff. I get it, but when you're trying to take off, is it an ease take off? Like, does it easily take off? Is it like an automatic transmission, like a truck, or is it a manual transmission and you have an actuator trying to let the clutch ride? And I mean, can you 2-foot it? Because my X3, I can rev it up and 2-foot it and ride the brake in certain scenarios, and you have to be careful not to burn your belt up. But is it going to be like a regular vehicle where you can, you know, ride the brake and ride the gas to try and get it through a technical spot? Like, that's my big concern with this machine. How technical can you get with this machine in terrain before you burn something up, or what is it? Like, I don't know. I think it just looked, I don't think the front looks as goofy as the back. Everybody's talking about the front of it, how it looks real goofy, those A-arms. I agree with you, but the back just looks weird. I don't really like it. I really like the interior in it. I like that screen in the middle. I don't really know why they put such a small screen in front of the steering wheel though. So, like, you know, you're driving down and you gotta turn your head to look at what you want to look at. Like, you know, not down. Like, you're not looking down where you're still the peripheral. Like, you're looking over here and trying to see what's coming ahead of you. I don't really see why they did that. I know in Honda Talons, that was a big complaint, was, you know, all the stuff was over here, and they actually made a kit to put it in front of you behind the wheel, and a lot of people like that. So the transmission is something I'm really not sure about. The interior I really like. You know, everybody's talking about the price of it. I looked up Pro R, and they're right there neck and neck in pricing. I mean, this machine's, the Maverick R starts out at what, 35 and tops out at 44. Granted, that's not out the door or whatever. I mean, these things are stupid expensive. They should not be this expensive, in my opinion too. I agree. But, you know, when you look at a Pro R, it's like $44,000 for the Ultimate. And off the top of my head, I forget what the non-Ultimate was, whatever that one's called. But these are the 4-cylinder options I was looking at. You know, Pro R is 225 horsepower. The new Can-Am has 240, I believe. So, you know, you have a horsepower difference, and it may be a really big difference if it's a true gear on gear. But for us, we're more concerned about like the low speed technical aspect of the machine. One big letdown for me is the roll cage. Like, it looks like the same exact roll cage that's on an X3, but it looks like a Can-Am roll cage all the way up until the B-pillar behind your head, and it looks like a Pro XP cage. And I just, coming from an X3, they were not strong. They were not really that safe of cages. I mean, I've seen a lot of guys on Facebook that when they roll their machine, it would, instead of it rolling completely over, they would hit a jump and it would roll this way and slide, and that cage would just fold completely over to the point where I don't know how they didn't die. And that's a real concern. I think all these manufacturers should be putting a cage in that's 120 wall. Like, we should not have to pay $30,000-$40,000 for these machines and then have to go, oh, it's not safe until I put a roll cage on it when it comes with one. That's ridiculous. I think it's a pretty cool machine. I don't think, at the price of it, I don't think I'm interested in it. I don't think it's going to replace the X3. And that's the other thing. I thought it was completely replacing the X3. I thought they were gonna pull a Polaris move, and what I mean by that is like they discontinued the Turbo S, and then you had to buy the Pro XP, which I know a lot of people did not like the Pro XP more than the Turbo S. So I was glad to see Can-Am didn't pull that move, and they're still selling the X3. It would have been cool to have two different variants of the Maverick R. That would have been cool. Like, have like a desert edition and then have a rock edition, like they do with all their other machines. You know, why not have like a desert runner with that crazy A-arm setup, and then have a, even if it didn't perform so good in the whoops, just have like a rock edition where they have, you know, more arched A-arms, not so sticking out of nowhere suspension. The trailing arms, they look really beefy, but they're not. They're just not. Like, let's be honest with these machines. Whatever machine you buy, you know, you may start out trail ride. You know, that's how I started. I started out trail ride, and then I would do, you know, a ledge about the tall as this tailgate. I'd go up that ledge, and I'd be like, oh, that was cool. What else can I do? And then next thing you know, you're trying to climb 40-foot walls that are straight up and down. Like, it's the evolution of a side-by-side rider, and they all start out just trail riding. Some people stick to trail riding, and that's great, but for anything like me and the people that I hang out with and ride with, you're always looking for the hardest obstacle you can conquer. And I don't know, this machine with those trailing arms, it does not have a good breakover angle, so you're going to be hung up on those trailing arms a lot. The A-arms, they look really thick and tough, but I'd really be curious if you took a, you know, a 2-pound sledgehammer and went up to it and just hit it. Not hard, but just hit it. How much would it bend or dent? I bet it would bend a lot. The machine's like 2,400 pounds, 2,400 pounds. It's a little heavy. I mean, the Pro R's heavy too. So, thing is, I don't mind the machine getting a little heavier, but it's got to have parts on it for the reasoning. You know, I expect to take that machine out there and run into a rock, and it stops the machine, and I get out, and it's not completely destroyed at 3 miles an hour. All right, you know, 50 miles an hour, yeah, of course. 3 miles an hour, I hit a rock head on, it stops the machine, I get out. I don't want to see the A-arm bend. I'm really hoping that Can-Am, when they decide that they're going to replace the X3, they listen or observe what the trail rider wants. You know, and the trail rider, I'm just going to say I'm a trail rider in this instance, that, you know, I want to ride down trails, I want to run 35-inch tall tires at least. My ideal perfect Can-Am would be maybe automatic transmission, maybe. You know, something where it's not like I don't have to worry about burning the belt up. But I'd want it to be an automatic. I wouldn't want it to be a manual transmission converted to an automatic, like a dual clutch. I don't think I would want that. I would just want like an automatic, and just give me a high and low, which I see this machine has. Nobody's talking about that. Nobody's talking about the high and low range. Like, what's the difference? Is it as great of a difference as the X3 was, or is it more of like a Razor, where low range is not low enough and high range is, you know, good if you're wide open running? I'm interested in hearing about that. I'm going to be trying to see if I can find a way of test riding one of these machines and really get some seat time behind it and let you guys know, because, you know, if these things were like $20,000 new, I would go buy one. Just, I mean, I feel like $20,000, I would go buy it and try it out. If it's good, it's good. If it's not, then oh well, I tried it. But at $35,000, $40,000 stock, I mean, that's a lot of money. like take it to s'more one time and be like, oh, that was a $10,000 trip. No, I don't want that. Oh, the other thing I didn't like is the tie rod. I don't know if you guys seen the tie rod, but how razors, stock razors, they have that kind of pirate hook tie rod that everybody breaks. It looks like Can-Am put that on there. Why did they do that? Why? Like, does it have some crazy steering angle that needs that? Like, I don't know. It just looks like the same junky tie rod that's come on razors that everybody gets rid of. Everybody gets rid of them for a reason, right? Wasn't really happy to see that. I mean, the stock tie rods on an X3 are good. I never heard anybody having any issues on them. I just see people replace them because they want to replace them. And I replaced mine to get the bump steer delete spacers, which moves the geometry down a little bit. I think they help. I don't really know if they help or not. I think they do. If it wasn't for those alignment spacers and not being able to put them in factory A-arms or factory tie rods, I would keep my stock tie rods. They seem good. They seem just fine for what I wanted. There's definitely a different steering rack. Hopefully this new steering rack doesn't get all the play like in the X3s. Without sitting here and boring you guys to death with, oh, here's the spec sheet that everybody has read or can read, I'm just trying to give you my personal opinion on it. Like, I'm not going to waste your time with, you know, oh, here's all the specs. You know, ground clearance, who cares about ground clearance? You have adjustable shocks, so you can put whatever ground clearance you want. You want your machine to sit this high, you can do it. If you want your machine to sit like mine, where it's like 13 inches off the ground, 12 inches off the ground, that's where mine sits in the front. In the back, it sits like 14. I kind of have that old rat rod, you know, hot rod stance on my machine because I feel like it climbs hills better. You know, keeping the center of gravity low, the spring rate low in the front, keep the front end down. That's my theory that I've had for a couple of years, and I haven't changed it, and that's why my machine sits like that. But you don't really notice it because the whole X3 is so many different shapes. But I don't know. I mean, I'm happy. I don't feel like I have to spend $20,000 right now on a machine that I don't need, but at the same time, I was kind of hoping Can-Am come out with something, make me think about like, hey, you know, you should go buy this machine now, give it a try, put some Rockzillas on it, see what it'll do. But I don't really see the point in buying this one. I mean, 240 horsepower, the stock machine's 200, so even if the machine does put 200 horsepower down to the tire, I mean, you just, for not much money, you just buy a bigger turbo for an X3, and I don't even know if you have to change injectors. And, you know, I mean, Evo sells a kit. You just buy the kit, bolt the kit on, instant 200 wheel horsepower, you know, or more. I mean, a lot of people run 400 horsepower stock motors in an X3. I have mine tuned up to 195, so it's a stock turbo RR tune basically, and it does good. The only time I felt like I could use more power was in Sand Hollow, out in that sand. Felt like I used more power, but I was having belt slip issues in the sand, so more power probably wouldn't have helped me. It probably would have made me eat up a belt. We'll see. I'm gonna try and get my butt in a seat in one of these things and see what it's all cracked up to be and all about. But when they finally come out with a machine, they decide to replace the X3, I hope they listen to the Trail Rider and make a machine that's better than the X3 and not a bunch of limiting factors like this machine. I mean, once I can find 17-inch wheels, I'm putting 37-inch Rockzillas on my X3. I can't do that with this machine, you know. And they didn't say anything about a front differential. I guess it's the same old smart lock. only time will tell, guys. We'll see what comes out of it, what it actually comes to be. I mean, the Pro R was a lot of hype, and then everybody kept shearing ball joints off and bending A-arms, and couldn't find parts for like a month or two, and I just hope it's going to be better than that. I know CA Technology, great suspension company, they're going to have a whole suspension kit out, and I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of revert that front suspension style that Can-Am's doing. I wouldn't be surprised if they do away with that. But the perfect X3 for me would probably be an automatic. I like the back, how I would do a different exhaust, because the exhaust coming out the middle, you can't have a trash bag on the back. It's just more of an inconvenience. I would like some sort of side exit, like in the back, like coming out on 45s or one side or something. Just stop it coming out the middle. And the front end, like Razors do this too. I guess get the weight bias more forward, but that much room between the tire and the firewall is not enough room. It's my opinion. Like, if I were to stretch my X3, I would cut the firewall off, move it 6 inches out, and give me more room between the firewall and the tire. That would be my perfect machine. Because maybe some people think I'm an idiot, but I want to run 40s on my X3. You know, I don't see why I shouldn't be able to. But the limiting factor is the tire and the firewall. So, but that's it, guys. We'll see you soon out on the trail again, and look forward to posting some more videos. Later.